Well, hello, I'm here with Doug uh, to talk about age verification, and my stuff is circular financing, and it is Tuesday, October 14, 2025. So you want to tell us about the age verification, Doug?
Yeah, Sam, so have you been following this one? Discord says 70,000 users
Yeah.
may have had their government IDs leaked in a security breach.
Yeah, I think we talked about it last time.
Did we?
Yeah, I think so. But anyway, that's everybody and their
Uh,
brother is doing this age verification, and of course, it's a mess. You-
yeah, so Discord claims that the attackers are circulating inaccurate information about the breach of customer service provider as
oh,
part of an extortion attempt.
so they didn't really get the IDs, or they didn't get it?
Well, we don't really know. So
Yeah,
Discord has identified 70,000 users that may have had their government IDs exposed
yeah.
as part of a customer service data breach. Said that the company was being extorted over a breach of its Zendesk.
Yeah.
Remember Zendesk interest
Oh yeah. I had,
instance? Yeah.
yeah,
By a group claiming to have 1.5 terabytes of age verification related photos.
which is certainly believable. I mean, they had the data and everybody keeps getting ransomware and getting their stuff stolen. I mean, maybe they don't have it, but that's not hard to believe that they would have it.
Yeah, I could see this. And this question now comes in. The bigger question is, okay, this is one company. Now we know it's going to be a target for others, meaning the age verification database.
Yeah, this is the problem. I mean, there are they're like the other data brokers that collect and resell data. There's no reason to imagine that they're actually going to secure it.
Right, right.
It's a kind of sleazy business. They tend to be fly-by-night bums, you know. It's
Yeah, and you know who else has a data breach? Probably not. This one hasn't really made the
yeah.
headlines yet. But the city of Berkeley has a rent board or rent stabilization board database of all the tenants in Berkeley.
Oh,
So the way this is, I want to ask you about this question, Sam, but this is a database that landlords have to submit to the city of Berkeley of who their tenants are.
yeah. Sounds like the sort of pointless communism you expect out of Berkeley. The government has to have their hand in everything.
Yeah.
And that means that they have to have a database of everything, which they probably will lose.
Now, according to a UC Berkeley student, all they did was go into the database to look it up. They did they didn't say really what, but they opened up another tab. And on the other tab, they had full access to the entire database and could download it.
So they had an unprotected API or something.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. He said, I didn't do anything. No,
Yeah, that's
nothing
it.
special. I didn't try
Yeah.
a SQL injection attack.
Yep.
I'm paraphrasing,
No,
but
but that's usually IDOR, insecure direct object access. That's usually what it is.
yeah,
All you
yeah.
have to do is go to the right URL and it's all just right there.
Yeah, so it's name, address, state, zip code, a lot of PI information.
Yeah.
But here's the question, Sam. Who has to notify the tenants?
Well, I would assume whoever held the database. There's California law requires that you notify people and you lose their PII. And I would assume whoever collected the data is the one that has to tell you.
Well, the one who collected the data was a third party, which is the landlord.
Well, I know. I don't know if you send data to a third party and they lose it.
Yeah.
Actually, good question. I don't know. And if the government requires you to do it, then maybe it's not your fault. If the government demands the data and then they lose it,
Yeah.
that's good. You could say it's not your fault. Somebody has to notify you. But yeah, I can see them pointing fingers at each other and trying to say it wasn't my fault.
Yeah. Well, I could see tenants saying, well, it's my landlord's fault. Or, I'm
Uh,
suing my landlord if a lawsuit comes
That
out of this.
that's
I don't know
true.
if it will.
But I think the landlord would have a pretty good defense saying, I just did what I was required to do. And storing
And
after that data gets to the government, how they store it is totally not my issue. I'm not responsible for that.
yeah. Anyway, we'll see. But,
Yeah.
this could open up a new door.
Yeah.
And on this age verification database information,
Yeah. They're going to be a
right?
bunch of them. They're going to be the age. This is the problem with age gating. They're going to be these age verification companies all over the place. And I'm sure some of them are going to do the bad things.
And they're going to be like the VPN companies and the password companies, password vault companies.
Yeah.
You don't know if it's secure or not.
Yep. That's uh that's the
Yeah.
issue. But of course, if you want to have anything age gated, then you do have to have some database. This is it's too bad we aren't using zero knowledge proofs. You know what they ought to have is a zero knowledge proof database for what you can ask is this person over 21? And all you get is that much information, nothing else. The technology exists to do this now, but it's not in common use. And obviously, these people weren't using it.
Yeah, California has started a project now, or I think it's a voluntary program where you can have your data, your driver's license stored in a wallet.
Yeah.
And I've used that. It's kind of interesting when I go into different stores, businesses where I need to provide age verification. They're kind of look at it like, I need your driver's license. And I say, this is it. It's California.
Now, I know the
So,
privacy people are against that. They say, in no way does it help your life that you have to give your unlocked phone to the cop instead of giving them a driver's license. That's handing them a whole lot more information than they need.
well, I'm not handing the phone, but I'm showing them an app. And
But how do
the
they know?
app,
And how do they know what that app is and whether it's legit, you know?
well, it says state of California. You're right. I could have screenshotted it.
Yeah.
You could use it at bars to prove you're over 21.
I just took a photograph of my driver's license, and that's been good enough to get me back in a hotel room when I get locked out. I don't know. I doubt it would
Yeah.
satisfy any official purpose.
Yeah. Well, they give you a QR code um, that
Yeah.
I've not scanned it. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. Well,
This
I think it would
is,
satisfy an official government agency because they understand the app, but I don't know
yeah,
if it'll satisfy anybody else.
private. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see
Yeah.
how this goes.
All right. Well, I've got some more complaints about
Yeah.
AI. So it turns out that OpenAI is at the center of a tangled web of deals with NVIDIA, AMD, Microsoft, and Oracle. They have all like loaned money to each other to buy their products and stuff. And this is reminding me of wash trading. Wash trading is big in the crypto markets. If you buy a new token and you want to make it seem like people are buying it, so you just open several accounts and trade with yourself to make a lot of action appear to be happening, which is a scam that has not outlawed for cryptocurrency. It's been outlawed for other stocks for a long time. And they call this circular financing or even vendor financing, where a company invests in or lends to its own customers so they can continue making purchases. And the so people keep comparing this to Nortel. You know, Nortel was the Canadian telecom equipment that borrowed prolifically to help finance deals for their customers, thus artificially boosting demand for their wares. So people are very nervous about this, and it sort of emphasizes the fact that the whole AI bubble is pretty much a scam. Um, and another guy did a financial analysis of data centers, of how much it costs to build these data centers and how much profit they could possibly make, and said they can't possibly earn enough to justify their cost before they become obsolete, which seems to be true. I mean, the whole AI is all a lost leader. People investing money and more and more and more money, all with no actual product that's remotely going to make that much money. So anyway, everybody sees the bubble crash coming, and just a lot of people with more and more scams to like pretend everything is okay for a little bit longer.
Yeah, Sam, I'm not so sure I'd say the AI is a bubble. And the reason I say that, there was a TED Talk not too long ago,
Mhm.
and it was a guy who was a patient at the time, and he had what was a terminal disease. And he had gone into the hospital several times. He would get these bouts, and they might last 3, 6 weeks, something like that, 3 months, 6 weeks,
Mhm.
something like that. And then he could be fine for several months, and then they'd come back. And he was talking to his doctor and it's terminal. They just said, we don't have any cure, nothing we could do. And your prognosis is you're likely to expire, in the next 2 years or within the next, because it progressively gets worse. So he researched and looked at the drugs, and I think there are 18,000 drugs that we have.
Yeah.
And he found a cure. I'm sorry, not a cure, but a solution, a
Right.
medication for his disease. And that was 11 years ago. He's gone on to be a PhD,
Yeah.
and he's now using AI and to use these drugs along with the database of drugs. And he finds these drugs that are used for that can be used for off-label use,
Yeah.
meaning not the intended purpose.
Yeah.
And he's finding that we have, again, not cures, but solutions for some of these diseases.
Well, yeah, I've heard of that. I mean, that's a real use. Protein folding is a real use. Oh, it's not like AI has zero use.
Right, right, right.
But the problem is they're investing so much money in these data centers that they can't have like a few small projects like that. They have to have something that is a huge moneymaker like the iPhone, where everybody pays hundreds of dollars to buy this thing. And they don't
Yeah.
have any product. I mean, it's not like it's not like not going to vanish. It's not going to be useless. But what it's going to do is a bubble because the money they're investing can't possibly come back. It's bid way beyond its value.
Sam, I will argue, I would say that we don't know that for sure
Oh
right
yeah.
now.
Oh sure. I mean, it's a prediction of the future. You never know. But
Yeah.
but I mean,
And I'll give you an example that I just heard. This is a biology,
mhm.
right? This goes back to biology. So there was a grad student in 1965, give or take, and and the thought at the time is no living organism could live above 135 degrees.
Right.
So bacteria, all of everything.
Right.
And somebody sent him to Yellowstone and said, "Hey, go take some samples of Yellowstone where you got these boiling hot springs
Yeah.
and see if there's any life in it." And sure enough, he found it. He published a paper
Yeah.
and no big deal, right? But he did find life that was capable of living at, I think, 165 Fahrenheit
Yeah.
at high temperatures, which kind of rewrote life, if you will.
Yeah.
And it was also at extremes. We've also find that they live in high salt content,
Yeah.
saline, like in salt seas and things. And we've also found out that there are organisms that can survive extremely high levels of radiation and reassemble them and come
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was 1965, 1960s, let's say 65. So years go by, we're in the 1990s, thereabouts, and we start doing the Human Genome Project. And what's the problem? We collect DNA, but the problem is you need to have the DNA annealed, meaning the two strands separate, so we can do the replication, and that takes heat. And we have no way of doing it. And he just happened to bump into this, and he goes, I found these bacteria that have molecules that are stable enough to separate the DNA. And that's the way we do it today, is that finding in 1965
Yeah.
has now allowed us to do the Human Genome Project.
Yeah. That's
So,
standard. That's standard basic research, right? Most of it
right,
goes
right.
nowhere, but every now and then you discover something awesome.
Finds, yeah. So here we have something that we're working on that maybe 50 years from now might come out to be profitable.
Well, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's I've heard that's what Dark Tangent said. He talked about the electrification of factories, and he said it took like 50 years.
Yeah,
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 but see, and that's the point. Bubbles are short term. I mean, the question, all these people are investing it, believing that they're going to make a ton of profit in 6 months or a year. If they knew it was going to take 50 years to make a profit, they wouldn't invest this money like this.
right,
They are
right.
not doing
Yeah,
it on that basis.
yeah,
There will
yeah.
be a crash before that happens.
Yes, yes, I would
Yeah,
agree with that.
yeah, that's the problem. I mean, yeah. Anyway, so
But the thing is, Sam, what are you going to invest in? What's the other promising? If you have money, if you have a
yeah,
big pile of money,
yeah.
you want a short-term return. We see that driving cars didn't really pan out so
That's
well.
right. Electric cars were going to be the big thing, and they weren't. Before that,
Self
it was cryptocurrency was going to be the big thing, and it wasn't. That's
self-driving cars,
yeah. I mean, that's what happens. You have all these people that want to invest and make a buck, and so they're betting they can make a profit before it crashes.
right? Yeah,
And if you get in and you get out fast enough, that'll work.
yeah, yeah. So we'll see. This is an
Yeah,
experiment in
it is.
progress.
It
We'll
is.
see if you want a short-term return or if you want a long-term.
Yeah. Anyway, so there's top AI industry figures have secretly been saying that AI will wipe out humankind. And I remember having this discussion like 40 years ago, where he said, biological life may have hit its apex in humans, and maybe artificial life would be the logical successor to replace us that wouldn't have any of our primitive emotions and instincts and stuff. But anyway, they've been talking about this. They say people can't be trusted on this topic because they are infested with a reprehensible mind virus, which causes them to favor people over AI. When clearly what we should do is get out of the way and let AI take over the universe as a superior life form. I remember a time when I thought that was probably logical.
Yeah, well, isn't that George Carlin's line that let's see, we're the product of a sexually transmitted terminal disease?
Yeah, I mean, and so then there's the question is, what are your values? Do you think the universe should have a mathematically perfect life form to create something like beautiful art or perfect mathematical equations? Or do you think humans have some intrinsic value and if we're in charge, we should serve ourselves? It's an interesting question. It gets down
Yeah,
to the heart of what is ethics? What is the value of humans anyway? What is the value of life anyway? And there's no clear answer to those questions.
yeah, and part of this is what's your belief?
Yeah.
Like, if we are the cause of climate change,
Yeah.
is that our problem? The
Well,
Earth's still going to be here. The question is, we'll wait.
that's right. I mean, we won't destroy the earth, but what we can do is destroy ourselves.
Right,
And
right.
then you can argue, usually life forms come and go, they come to an end. Should we really try to escape that? Is that appropriate? It's a good question. Anyway, I've had various
Yeah,
opinions throughout my life. Now I've sort of ended up like my father, thinking, well, I'm not going to be here for any of that, so it doesn't really matter. But you can have the intermediate characters like Elon Musk, who thinks 5,000 years ahead, and it has this thing called effective altruism, where he says, I have to like sacrifice my Tesla workers in the factories now because that will benefit these future people on Mars.
yeah, there you go.
And they count more than, there's going to be more of them. So it's more ethical to serve those hypothetical future people on Mars than to serve the people today.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
this, I think, is just the same thing nobles have had down through history that I'm a superior race and trampling the peasants is moral. Anyway, uh, so they did a study, asked scientists what they think of AI, and the more scientists work with AI, the less they trust it. They have less trust in AI than they did in 2024 when it was significantly less advanced. Now that they actually have seen what it does, they're more worried about its hallucinations, security, and privacy, which I think is fair. And this is just the Gartner hype cycle, right? While it was going up, everybody says it's the greatest thing in the world. Now it's pretty much at the peak where they're beginning to notice, hey, this thing isn't really that great and there are problems. After this is going to come the trough of disillusion when everybody turns against it. And then you reach the plateau of productivity when they admit, all right, it's not worth nothing. It's worth something, but it's not remotely worth what we thought it was at the peak.
Yeah, yeah,
And anyway, so however, OpenAI, speaking of the financial production, OpenAI has a plan to improve their financial position. They're going to allow smut. They're imitating Elon Musk. Elon Musk made a porn bot, an AI girlfriend porn bot. And so OpenAI is going to do the same thing. They say all of our customers keep demanding sexually explicit conversation with OpenAI, and this we've been forbidding that, but we've decided, yeah, we'll open the floodgates for mature apps as soon as we roll out our long-awaited age verification system. So there's a product that will make some money, but I don't know if it's going to make enough money. To me, when you start selling porn, you've kind of admitted that you're not ever going to really have a mainstream product anyway. Uh, so that's it for AI today. And I've got some politics.
All right. Well, I got another one. Do you hear
Yeah.
in San Francisco there was a prank
Yeah.
where 50 Waymo cars were sent to a dead-end street?
Oh, somebody just ordered them on the app or something?
Yeah, yeah.
And did they figure it out and give up and leave?
Well, it just caused, a big traffic jam. Why, Sam, I get asked. I mean, this is something that's been going on for a while. But what's the big attack against Waymo all the time?
I don't know. I do hear some people getting mad at it, like trying. Some people just disapprove of the robot taxis for some reason. I guess they love cabbies or something.
Yeah, or they're Luddites. They're
I guess.
against the technology. I don't know. It's interesting because there's somebody who wears a shirt that has a stop sign on it,
Oh
and
yeah.
he stands at a like in the middle of the street or halfway down a street, and so the Waymo car comes to a stop.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, I can see that as sort of a security theater thing showing,
yeah,
but I
yeah.
think as far as I know, everybody's pretty much gotten used to them and accepted them. They seem fine.
Yeah, and there's the competitor to Waymo in San Francisco. I forgot what the name is. I've seen the cars. They look like a more like a buggy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Um,
I think self-driving cars, self-driving taxi cabs are here and they're going to continue. We'll see if they can become financially stable though. Waymos have no sensible business model. They cost way too much. So uh, it's here as like a prototype, but as far as a functioning business, it's not really going to make it. They need to make it like a lot cheaper.
yeah. Do you know who's behind Waymo?
I think it's GM, isn't it?
That I don't know.
I think it's one of the major car manufacturers
So they've got the money to
for a
back it.
while. They can do it for a while, but those cars apparently cost $500,000 each, and they need to make them much cheaper. The Teslas only cost like 20 or $30,000 each, so they actually could be self-sustaining financially, but they're too cheap, so they're not safe to ride. So,
So I did a quick check of this. It's Waymo is Google Alphabet.
oh, okay. I thought it was GM. All right.
Yeah, maybe it was in a partnership with them.
Yeah.
Huh.
Anyway,
Yeah, so Google's got the money,
for a
right? I
while,
mean,
Google will run things at a loss for a couple of years, but then they'll pull the plug if you don't figure out how to make money.
yeah. Oh, and it looks like Toyota is part of it. Waymo is Toyota.
Yeah. Well,
Uh, they reached an agreement. Oh, maybe not.
yeah. Anyway.
Um,
All right. Anyway,
yeah. Anyway,
so
let's continue.
yeah, so I think we talked last time. MIT rejected Trump's preferred funding plan, where he said we'll give you move you to the front of the line for grants as long as you obey our law, culture war rules, like no DEI and only positive propaganda about history and things like that. And so Trump now has offered this to every college. Yeah, after MIT rejected it, he said higher education has lost its way and is now corrupting our youth and society with woke, socialist, and anti-American ideology. So the refusal to sign up for this program will be seen as a sign of defiance by administration officials, and colleges should expect heightened federal scrutiny if they fail to sign on to the culture war agenda of the Trump administration. But so far, nobody has agreed to this. And more now, it's available to all colleges. Colleges are always struggling for money. So one way to get some money would be to jump up and say, "We're the mega college. We're totally on board with all this stuff." Nobody's jumped at that yet, but I imagine somebody will.
Yeah.
Anyway, and so this one is interesting. Trump has now taken buying a Canadian rare earth miner. He announced this 100% tariff against China because China is limiting the export of rare earths. Canada
Right.
has rare earth miners, and now the U.S. government is investing in it, which is troubling the Canadians. Trump has now raised taxes enough to crash the economy. which is kind of what I thought Republicans were against. And now he's seizing the means of production, which is straight up communism, buying Intel and now buying the rare earth company. They bought 10% of the company, and that caused its stock to rocket by 140%. And now they have
What?
to produce an additional 7.5% stake. So we are going to own, the US government is going to own a Canadian mining company, which so the thing that surprises me about that is in the first place, the US government investing in private companies that way is, I think, unprecedented. That's exactly the communism we're not supposed to allow. And also, if I was Canada, I would never allow this because the United States is a hostile nation threatening to invade Canada and take it over by force. I don't think I would welcome any investments from America at this point, but it's happening. So Trump just doesn't have any clue how American government is supposed to work, and he just does stuff like a tycoon. Anyway,
But isn't that what people wanted? And that's why they voted for him was change.
well, yeah,
Drain the swamp.
but he's not didn't do the change he promised. He was going to lower prices and deport dangerous criminals, and
Well, wait. He's doing 50% of that, sort of.
he's not doing anything about inflation to lower prices. Uh,
Right. So
he's
that's the
he's
50%
very
he's not doing.
well, and as far as I can tell, ICE is not doing a damn thing to deport dangerous criminals. They're just grabbing random innocent Mexicans and sending them back, innocent Hispanics. They don't seem to be catching dangerous criminals. They just seem to be grabbing innocent people who weren't hurting anybody.
Well, there's probably a couple of them in that group.
Yeah, but every administration, that's the problem. There aren't really, it's just like Joseph McCarthy. He's got this fake boogeyman. There's all these thousands of dangerous immigrants when they aren't really there, just like his communists. They're
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a fake problem. Anyway, so Marjorie Taylor Greene has really turned against a whole lot of this, and she said Johnson should bring the House back to D.C. They should end the government shutdown, and they should fund the health care that the Democrats are demanding. She said, "This is garbage. My own children, their health care is going to double in cost. Nobody can stand this." So Marjorie Taylor Greene is being the hero of the resistance now, resisting a lot of Trump administration policies. So
What a switch.
I know. Well, I mean, she is stupid and racist and always has been, but I think she's independent. She's an independent thinker like Rand Paul. She never has been completely on board with Trump just following him off a cliff. She supported him because she liked his policies. Now that his policies are hurting Republican voters, which they totally are, she's the one that the guts to say something about it. She doesn't lack courage. Anyway, and
You,
like
you
this,
know, it's interesting. I'm just looking this up.
yeah.
She shifted her stance to be pro-Israel. Well, wait a minute. Wasn't she the one that was claiming that Israelis had control of satellites
Oh yeah.
and were charging, causing a food shortage?
And starting the California wildfires with
Yeah,
space.
yeah.
But she just
So then,
stupid
so then she
conspiracy.
became pro-Israel,
Yeah,
and now,
I don't know where she is on Israel. I think she's against us sending them all this money and weapons. And now we're bailing out Argentina, which is just incredibly corrupt because Trump is friends with a billionaire who invested in Argentina. So everything Trump does is just to enrich himself. And boy, it's been incredibly valuable. He has made like $5 billion in the first 8 months of his new term. So he really is just a kleptocrat. He's just stealing money. And he's doing it the Washington way. He doesn't just directly steal the Treasury money. He institutes policies which benefit
yeah,
billionaires, which kick him back part of it, and sells pardons. He's totally just selling pardons for money, which unfortunately
yeah,
other people have
yeah,
done too. But anyway, it's a kleptocratic rule, but he is so unbridled about it. He doesn't mind hurting his own voters. And I think the Republican voters are going to notice that the grocery price is going up, inflation is going up, and healthcare cost is going up. And that's not what they voted for. They didn't like that.
yeah.
And he's
Uh,
trying to comfort them by saying, "Well, I'm hurting people you don't like. So you should let me hurt you as long as I'm hurting them more." And that's just sort of a cruel, sadistic way to think. And I think there are some people who think that way, but I don't think it's the majority.
yeah. What can I
Anyway,
say? Yeah.
anyway. And then I got actually a few information security flaws, although I didn't think it was a big deal. Um, there's an interesting attack on Android. where an app with no system privileges can read what's on the screen from another app. Apparently, Android has the ability to draw on the screen and, well, there's another display there. And it draws like transparent content over the content. But the point is, it can, when it does add more to the screen of an existing screen, the GPU has graphical data compression. So it can measure the time it takes to draw more stuff on the screen and tell what was already there by considering how much. Because I guess if you draw something and it doesn't actually change the color of a dot, then that would happen fast. But if it changes the color, then it will take more time. So they're able to do that timing attack from one app and read what another app has on the screen, like a password or a two-factor
I see.
authentication
I
code.
see.
So it's
Yeah.
pretty clever. Now, it turns out it tends to be slow and might be too slow to actually collect a two-factor token within 30 seconds. And Google has already issued a patch in Android to partially mitigate this. And they got another patch coming. So it's kind of cute, sort of like Rowhammer or Spectre. It's an interesting
Yeah.
weakness, not, I think, terribly practical. And and these guys took a $600 dish and put it on the roof uh, of their building and collected data for 3 years to see what kind of data was being sent through the geosynchronous satellites. And it turns out that they send all that data with no encryption. So they found all kinds of unencrypted stuff being spewed out over the radio waves. They found encryption keys, SMS messages, and traffic from military systems and critical infrastructure. So, they recommend that people use another layer of encryption like VPNs or encrypted apps, which it reminds me of a lot of things. Like there's years ago, people did this at the exit of the Tor network. And if you
Right.
send
Yeah.
unencrypted data through, then eventually it comes out the other end unencrypted and exposes your stuff. So I think that's the point. Geosynchronous satellites were repeaters. They never were adding encryption to the signal, although apparently some of the large carriers have now started adding encryption to their signal. They just haven't updated this from the early days when nobody thought about it. Anyway, and the last one is the biggest and most disruptive botnet in the world is now one called Isuru, and it is the latest evolution of the famous one in the past, Mirai botnet, and it's primarily Internet of Things devices. It has 300,000 compromised hosts, which are mostly consumer-grade routers, security cameras, digital video recorders, and other devices operating with insecure and outdated firmware or default settings. So, as we've all said from the beginning of the Internet of Things, it's going to lead to security problems as you connect all these poorly secured gadgets to the Internet, and they can all be just taken over with like a default password attack. Apparently, it used some 0 days too. But anyway, that's uh, that's one of the things we predicted. And they say now it's doing DDoSes that are exceeding 20 terabits per second. So uh, that's the way it goes. I think the biggest DDoS attacks have always been as much as you can possibly deliver on the backbone, is what they are.
Yeah. Yeah. And Cisco has some new routers that have incredible speed. So,
Yep, it keeps getting faster. And so, as long as
yeah.
we keep polluting the internet with a bunch of poorly secured devices, there'll be these botnets.
Yeah.
Uh, I got a few
Let's
more
see.
here.
So I got one here
Yeah.
for you. This is in Oakland.
Okay.
And apparently somebody's running around printing out fake Oakland parking tickets with a QR code to pay them.
And he gets the money.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
think the parking tickets are $76.
Yeah.
And the city of Oakland, I don't think has parking enforcement. So somebody has took it upon themselves
Yeah.
just to start issuing the tickets.
Yeah, it's a pretty good scam. It reminds me of the guy years ago that worked being the parking lot attendant in San Francisco for like 20 years and then retired and left. And then the owners said there was never an attendant in this parking
Yeah.
lot. This guy just did it and got tips and went on for years. Nobody questioned it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
You know,
yeah,
I think I've seen that where there'll be an event, like for event parking,
yeah,
and somebody just goes to a parking lot for like Bank of America or Wells Fargo,
yeah,
stands with a sign parking, $20.
yeah, yeah.
Who's going to stop him, right? Who's going to question?
Yeah, who would, how do you know that he shouldn't be there? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, I got a couple more here. One of them pretty interesting. Ultrasound is ushering in a new era of surgery-free cancer treatment. This woman was researching ultrasound, and her lab mates complained that her equipment was too noisy, so she made the pulses shorter just to make it less noticeable. And that turned out that instead of just imaging, it actually disrupts the cells and kills things. So they're now doing surgery with ultrasound without having to do cut without any infection. They can reach in with sound, focus it on like a couple of millimeters square, and kill the cells there with intensity ultrasound. They say it's actually quite useful for like liver cancer and for metastatic cancer. Sounds like a great idea.
There was a claim years ago, probably 30 years ago, of using radio frequency. So
And they use
ultrasound, yeah.
and they use radiation the same way.
No, 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 but this was
Yeah.
radio frequency,
Yeah.
meaning AM radio waves.
Well, those would be hard to focus on such a small area, I think.
I'm just telling you that.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember it was radio waves for gallstones.
Oh, okay.
And I think what they could do, or the thought was that they could get a resonating frequency for the gallstones and it would break them apart.
Well, I think they use ultrasound for that now.
Well, or maybe that's what it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Anyway.
so I wonder how that's going to work on cancer. I
Well,
wonder.
the point is, any kind of targeted killing thing will work. And the point is, they say, it's much safer, much cleaner.
Yeah,
You don't have
yeah.
to you don't have to cut a gash in somebody and then worry about antibiotics and everything. It just kills the cells and then your body cleans up the dead cells. So sounds like apparently it's quite useful for some kinds of cancer. So,
Okay.
and so Signal has implemented post-quantum cryptography, the encrypted message app, and apparently they've done a very good job. Dan Gooden has a big article on Ars Technica saying they really have done it right and everybody should imitate their technology. What they did, they switched to use MLKEM 768, which is one of the approved post-quantum algorithms. And one problem is the key is much larger. An AES key is only 128 bits. Uh, Post-quantum keys are 1,000 bytes long. So you have to transmit a lot more key, and yet they want to have forward secrecy. So every message has a different key. So what they've done is they have send messages that like erase part of the key material and replace it with part of the key material. And they've somehow got a multiple handshake going back and forth called the double ratchet. So without having to have too many back and forths, they can keep changing the key in a way that can't be predicted from the previous key knowledge. And they say it's really quite brilliant and it works very well. So they've got a practical application. Looks pretty complicated, but at least they have made a practical protocol that is quantum resistant. So,
Okay.
yep. And that's it for me. That's all the news I had.
Let's see. I think that's it for me too this time. And we'll see. We'll have to see what comes up in the next 3 days.
I'm sure a lot will.
Yeah,
There's always a ton of news.
always, always.
All right. Well, that's it for this one. I have another one on.
Sounds good.